And we're live. Welcome. Hello, everyone. This is Sabat Ashraf, I Faqir. With After a long time, we're doing this under the Karachi Say banner. I think we're going to pick English so that we can reach all the audiences we want to reach. So here we are, Karachi Say on the I Faqir banner. And today, our usual hosts, of course, are me and Mr. Kamran Kimani out of Karachi. And today we were hoping to get a number of people together to discuss the situation with flooding in Pakistan and what needs to be done, what can be done, what is being done. We're looking forward in, I think, a little bit having an expert with us, Syed Tariq Saab, who's a PhD candidate up at LUMS. And we have with us today, actually, Mr. Abdul Rahman Rafiq. And Abdul Rahman, as I have known him from Silicon Valley, he operates on both sides of that divide, both Silicon Valley and Pakistan. Currently, he's a long-term resident in Karachi. And while we were waiting for the other experts, I thought we should get something going. And so here we are. Me, Abdul Rahman, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well,
Can you see my video?
I can see you. I can see that. I can see you as a brick in the wall. Uh,
Okay, fine. You can see me. ठीक है.
you should be able to see what we are seeing, right?
I
So,
can see you. हाँ, ठीक है. हाँ.
yeah. So, coming to the topic, we have had, you and I have lived on both sides of that. And Karachi, I have not visited as often, but when you visit after a break, you see changes more extremely as well, right? You see the stops. If you're constantly somewhere, it doesn't look as much. And of late, we've also seen, one world survey. I'm often skeptical of these things, but we've seen a world survey that said Karachi was amongst the four least livable cities in the world, right? So number four from the bottom in terms of livability. And when you think about that, I mean, it's almost a cliche to say that when you think about that, it's mind-boggling because this list would include places in states and places. Well, I don't want to badmouth any place, but places you think about. I mean, Haiti, Somalia, Afghanistan, all of these wonderful places that are now currently very dysfunctional. But we are up there. So I thought, because I had Abdul Rahman here, and he's both an entrepreneur and a social activist, founder and head of the California registered nonprofit I work through, often for good things in Pakistan and beyond. PAKSEF, the Pakistan Science and Education Foundation, which it was Abdul Rahman's idea, but we started it as an idea of doing some technology and science work. And it seems we've evolved into a place where PAKSEF has become a platform for helping good causes using science and technology. Would that be a fair way to describe it, Abdurrahman?
In some ways, yes. More like helping good causes using um, technology and causes which have some innovative aspect to it.
Right. So
Uh,
innovation, technology, we've been using a lot of that, right? So
yes, yes,
that's
yes.
kind of become the role. It seems we've almost
Mhm.
fallen into that role because often
Yeah, yeah.
we are scrambling to help good
Mhm.
causes. And over the years, we've tried to take a more
Mhm.
strategic, proactive role using
And
funds.
that role we fell into after the 2009, 2010, 2011 flood reliefs and SWAT IDP relief work through SA relief.
No, and
The
we started coming together around the
yeah,
earthquake
yeah.
back in 2004,
Earthquake too, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
and then we got organized with the floods. It became more regular,
Yes,
but
yes, yes.
on a more strategic and proactive level, I love the work you particularly were doing with Code for Pakistan. When remind me of the name of the lady that started that.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, we're both blanking. It's not fair. But Code for Pakistan is an amazing project. It's patterned after Code for America, and we had the honor and good fortune to work with them in their early days. Now they're off on their own. They do their own financing and everything.
They're doing very well over here.
But we were an early fiscal sponsor, and it was wonderful. So, having all this experience and background, 5 minutes in, my question for you, very straight up, is what would you do? How would you move towards completely blue sky, or as you folks put it in Pakistan, greenfield approach? Uh, what would you do to get around to making Karachi more livable? What changes would you make? And maybe if you want to start with what would your standard be for livability,
Well,
and
for
go for it.
livability, the first, I mean, first thing we need to, I think, address, I would say, public transport in Karachi.
Okay.
I mean, most people who can afford it have cars and all that. But frankly, the public transport system, if we can improve that, that would, I mean, make it comparable to what one is used to in other parts of the world, where many of us have used transport around the world. I mean, in the U.S. and well, not Silicon Valley, but
Okay,
East Coast U.S.
Abdurrahman, let's not get into pie in the sky stuff. We're not, let's say, I mean, frankly, in the US, public transport sucks,
It
right?
sucks, you know.
It absolutely sucks. There is not much public transport. If you live in a big city, within the city, you're fine, or San Francisco, New York, everything goes into the city and out of the city. There is no, the metro areas are very good with
Mm,
that stuff. So let's not go there. And also, let's not try to sort of graft something from outside. You live in Karachi, you know how it works, you've used public transport in Karachi. Where would you start? I want real stuff, not, the government should do this amazing thing with, turn us into Tokyo. No. Where would you start in Karachi itself?
mm.
Because to some extent, they're
Uh,
taking that green line, red line, yellow line approach, right?
the great that approach on a more massive scale, have the Green Line approach, the People's Bus approach. These are great initiatives, but initiatives which I feel have started, but then they don't have an end result in mind. So, for example, take the People's Bus example. I mean, it's quite chaotic on finding for people to find the right routes and timings, and it's essentially operating like any bus stops. And
Funny thing is that really is. In fact, let me see if I can get some screens up. When I was last in Karachi,
mm,
this would what was it? April, right? First half of April, first half of
ah,
Ramazan in
yes,
Karachi.
yes.
I took some pictures of those bus stops. Lovely looking bus stops. Up in
Lovely
Nazar.
looking.
The Green Line
Ah,
had just gotten going, right? So the
Green Line is great. That's a good service. This People's Bus service is another good idea, but quite frankly, that so far it's been a little chaotic for people to use it. From what I'm especially for your white collar professionals
you're
who
saying it is chaotic or it is not?
I mean, chaotic in a standpoint from what I've been told firsthand, they don't have a fixed stop. So it's still
Really?
operating like the
Ad hoc?
ad hoc. They have routes. They have routes. They have some kind of timing somewhere. In fact, I had personally tried to call the Sin Mass Transit Board. I said randomly, just let me jaake baat karte. Let's talk to somebody who anybody there. And I asked them कि कोई रूट मैप है और टाइम टेबल. उन्होंने कहा रूट मैप क्या चीज़ होती है. रूट मैप टाइम टेबल. मैंने कहा भाई ओके फाइन ठीक है.
Okay, Rapaji. Oh,
मैं समझ गया.
that kind of answered your
That
question,
asked
huh?
my question, and I'm देखो, I am comparing it to say the service people and airlift had. Apps say you can book your ride and you will know where the bus will stop and where it picks you up from. that kind of that kind of connectivity, and to the most part, a lot of white collared, mid-level professionals were dependent on those services, Swivel and Airlift, for a few years now until they closed down.
Actually, you know what? I might just have managed to let us show our audience what we're talking about.
Right.
Uh, Bear with us, folks. We're just getting going on some of this fun stuff.
By the way,
Uh,
where are you watching this on YouTube, or not?
no, no, this is yeah, no, this is. Let's do this. Here we go. So this is, I believe, the stop in Nazimabad, do number Nazimabad.
Yes, that's the green line stop, huh?
That's the Green Line stop, and then oh, this is actually my old home. So wait, there
Green
was
line is
there we go. That's the
green.
Nazimabad number one station, Nazimabad Charangi as we used to call
Green
it.
line is a good service. Green line is on the clock every 3 or 4 minutes. There's a green line bus at each station,
Right.
and that's good. Yes.
So we have this, and then let me stop that and bring to a new, because I'd managed to get some good shots of the station. No, wait, this is my Karachi album. I'm trying to find it. So yeah, we got those two stops, and that's kind of the station we're talking about, right? So
Hmm.
wait, here it is. Chrome tab. No, we should just be able to show that window, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yes, that's the station, huh? But
And
do
you
that.
got a bit of crap here, but that's
Green line is huh? I was referring to the People's Bus Service. So, yeah.
anyway. So let's stop sharing that. So that was just to give a live
Anyway, no,
impression. So, okay,
that was a transport thing. I mean,
that was transportation. Good, you brought it back. What else?
what else? So, what was the question again? You want to repeat that?
Question is, how do we make Karachi more livable? What are the top issues you would pick, and how would you approach them?
Hmm.
Answer.
Hmm.
Uh,
There's so many issues. I mean, how about
okay, just give us a list.
how about infrastructure issues, road issues?
Again, infrastructure
And,
is a kind of a catch-all, right? Road transportation, that's all infrastructure. But what specifically? Yeah, in infrastructure, I mean, garbage collection keeps coming up, right?
garbage collection, yes, that's definitely let's take that garbage collection. Huh? Every municipality has their own systems. They do have pickup times, but they don't pick up and they take time, or you have open trucks. I mean, okay,
So when you say every municipality, what are you talking about? I mean, there is Karachi
and
Municipal Corporation, but
when
we
there's
have cities
KMC,
with it.
then there are about 4 or 5 cantonment boards in Karachi.
Okay, we have 4 or 5 cantonment boards.
Karachi Cantonment Board, Shah Faisal Cantonment, sorry, Clifton Cantonment, Kurangi
Yeah, no,
Cantonment.
Keftan,
Huh.
Korangi, Malir,
Malina,
Shah Faisal,
they all have their own, for example, garbage collection facilities or
each of
those.
those have their own garbage collection,
Huh.
right? How are the cantonment boards doing with garbage collection? I mean, the parts that are controlled by Karachi KMC itself, or each of the city governments as they're called, uh, east, west, Malir, south,
On
southern.
paper, they have a whole schedule for collecting, but in reality, you know how it is.
I
They
know,
pick
but
up,
see, one
pick up.
expects, especially, I think we're all waking up to the rude reality that even the
Hmm,
cantonment boards, that did run very well at one point, and
hmm.
now should have pretty much lost the plot, right? They,
Yes, yes, yes.
they've
You could say that, huh? They've lost the
with
plot.
the flooding last
I
year,
think
or actually for 2 or 3 years, we're getting flooding, especially in what you'd call Clifton Cantonment Board Defense, Clifton. Uh,
the whole issue goes back to ownership.
Ownership that keeps coming up.
Who has ownership? I mean, it's not about. It's about, I mean, your city officials, administrators, your public officers. Many officers, especially in cantonment boards, are not originally from the city. They might be posted here, but then they'll leave the city, quite possibly.
Yeah, again, that's that's always the argument that was made originally, even by by, for example, the MQM in its better days and first incarnation. In
Hmm.
terms of ownership, we don't have ownership. I was just listening to a what do you call it? A An interview of Farooq Sattar, former mayor,
Ah,
one of the better mayors we've had in Karachi's history, and of course he has his own career as an MQM politician. He was still making that ownership question. You talk to Mustafa Kamal, you listen to interviews of his another one of the other three good mayors we've had, and again it comes back to ownership. So apparently we have 65 different jurisdictions in Karachi,
hmm,
even though ironically as a city it is rare in that Karachi is defined as including everything. I mean, when we
yeah,
talk about other big cities, especially in the Muslim world, say we look at Jakarta. There
hmm,
is Greater Jakarta and there's Jakarta itself. So population becomes difficult to figure out. And then like, you've been around New York, we've been around San Francisco. Of course, the San Francisco Bay Area is completely a bunch of little towns.
hmm, 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 hmm.
And New York City is there's New York City itself. Actually, when you look at the what is known as New York City itself, that is structured like Karachi is right now. You have a city on top, and then you have the boroughs doing their own thing,
Boroughs, yes, yes.
right? Karachi has now evolved into that kind of structure,
You have, yes, you have that kind of structure, huh?
right? You have the
Different
Karachi,
different districts or townships, as they call them, huh?
right? You have the townships, right?
Yes.
I've kind of lost count of how many there are. But we now see, you're
Yes.
thinking about it. It's
I,
about six,
the
five
way,
or
huh,
six.
but they've got this, well, they've got four districts: central, south, west, north.
I don't know. There's the district overlay. So Karachi is a
District,
mess in terms
yes,
of jurisdictions.
yes, yes.
So what I'm hearing you say is that actually has to be the first step of sorting that out.
Sort it out.
Then of course,
We need a
then
single ownership point, you know. So I
then we will
mean,
get into the political discussion
if
of
KMC
municipalities,
is supposed
the
to be a
government.
municipality, then let's let KMC, or we have many KMCs.
Okay, right.
Divide it
Or we
up into
have,
many KMCs, huh?
I mean, make it separate cities, which would be a problem because then you're talking about what is Karachi, what is the province, and
Not
then we
make
get
it separate cities.
right.
Well,
See,
yeah, let's, for example, your cantonment
see my
boards,
point.
they, they come under Ministry of Defense. They're a federal unit. KMCs come under who?
I mean, they are city government, right?
So the
KMC itself. I mean,
KMC
you're
city
talking about the
government
city government, right? The townships,
comes under, I guess it comes under, you could say, this provincial government.
and of course they report up into the provincial government,
Yes,
and they are, and of course the whole.
but
I'm trying not to get into the weeds of the
I
or
know,
slip into
I
the
know,
political
I know.
discussions,
Yes,
which
yes.
we have to say in the end it is a political discussion, right? I
It
mean,
absolutely, you cannot get away from a political discussion here.
and the interesting
Yeah,
thing was I've been noticing the last about a year or so, we now have the Jamaat Islami stepping in and
yes.
talking like the old MQM, right? They are raising what we call Karachi ka muqaddama, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, that is the case for Karachi. What
Mm-hmm.
we have the thing about ownership, the thing about police, law and order, infrastructure, and it's for someone like me who's always been on the other side ideologically from the Jamaat Islami, it's a sweet and interesting
Mm-hmm.
place to be, and I have to admit they're the only ones actually raising the issue.
Mm.
But what can you do?
They
Uh,
are raising issues. Jamaat Islami absolutely is, and they have potential. I
so
mean, I'm
give
sure.
us a rundown on that. What with the elections coming up soon?
Hmm.
What are you seeing? I'm hearing a lot of talk about the Jamaat Islami becoming uh, the place that people are putting their hopes in. You keep hearing that Urdu expression of
Yes.
सबको ट्राई कर लिया है अब
सबको
जमात
ट्राई कर
इस्लामी.
लिया अब जमात इस्लामी, हाँ, जमात
And of
इस्लामी को
course,
ट्राई किया हमने, हाँ, but
historically, exactly.
historically देखा ना.
historically, historically, matlab, most people's memories don't go back more than 20 years.
हम्म,
Historically, Jamaat Islami has gotten a turn at the wheel
हाँ, they
and
have.
with good effects. I mean, when I talk about, I hinted about good mayors. In the
हम्म,
history of Karachi, we're told there was about four mayors that have really stood out. One was way before independence, Parsi gentleman from the, I think, from the
बिल्कुल, yes.
family, either the Dinshaw or the Kausji family.
हम्म,
Then we had Hafiz, what was his name? Advocate,
um,
Jamaat Islami mayor, right? Again, I'm blanking on names this morning. Advocate साहब जो थे ना, the
I
Jamaat
know,
Islami mayor.
हाँ, क्या नाम थे उनके,
Naeem Rahman's the current guy. I'm talking about the other one. Anyway,
was,
so there
अच्छा,
was
the first mayor, by the way, was Jamshed Nusriwanji.
Nasir Wanji. Sorry, I was mixing him up with. I think he was related to the Kausjis. But anyway, so there was Nasir Wanji, there was Advocate Saab from the Jamaat Islami, then there was Farooq Sattar, and then Mustafa Kamal.
हम्म,
Right? These are kind of the four names that stand out over the last 100 and some years.
हाँ, yes.
Uh, anyway, so give us that feel of how are these things shaking out. You operate mainly, or at least in what we call Southern Township, right, or District South,
District South,
and the Clifton Cantonment Board,
District
uh,
South is Cantonment Board to most part.
for the most part.
Southern Cantonment Board, Karachi Cantonment Board, somewhat,
We
Korangi.
should get an expert out here and help us unpack that district versus township thing, right? Because it's part of
Hmm.
Southern. Because the elected government is Southern Town, which butts up against the Clifton Cantonment Board, while the district is that whole thing,
But
which
elected government is your
elected or appointed. Right now we have appointed, but
federally you have your National Assembly seat, and then
that
provincially you have two or three. You have three provincial seats in
that's a
South.
different way. Maybe at some point we will come back to you and discuss the political
Hmm.
status as well, what's going on as the elections get near.
Because ad hoc, I'm not going to say which numbers because I keep forgetting the NA numbers and PS numbers. But yeah,
Right. No, the numbers have moved around, right? What used to be
keep moving
240 is
around. Huh?
now 252 or something, right?
Uh,
I mean, you and I originally are both from that burger seat, right?
and what's called NA 257? Huh?
It's now
Most right.
257. Basically, Clifton Defense and what is it?
Lekin that's changed again. So yes.
Acha.
Mm.
Basically, this is the seat that was represented by luminaries such as our current president, uh,
Yes.
Arif Alvi Sahab, and before that, at one point,
Alphalbi is bad. Ha, yes.
uh, and also a PMLN representative at one point, Abdul Halim Siddiqui
Yes.
Sahab,
Yes, he did.
Halim Siddiqui, Arif Alvi, and there was one or two others I can think of. Khushbak Shujat for a long time from
Mm.
the QM, right?
Mm.
So anyway, so it was good talking to you. I think let's end this here, otherwise it'll get
Yes.
too long.
Uh,
I just thought we'd get these conversations under
it's a
the
good
Karachi
start.
State banner
We can keep doing this, huh? That's right.
going. I am going to actually move us over to this side so folks can see our credits, uh, and we can take it from there. So
Sure.
thank
Thank
you, Abdurrahman, and we will keep pulling you. Sorry to wake you up. Actually, I'm the one who got woken up. You're in Karachi, uh, and we will keep talking about these things
Yes,
on
we keep talking.
basically the iFakir banner for now.
Mm,
The iFakir platform. The show is called Karachi Say, and well, folks, there we have it. This was an English language program, so hopefully other audiences can join in discuss the craziness. I apologize for this is kind of ad hoc, so we were not very organized. Uh,
Next
but
time
for you
we could plan
folks,
something better, but if you want,
we'll
we can
keep
come to
doing
that.
this conversation, and hopefully our core anchor Kamran Kimani can join us, and we'll take it from there. So take care.
Take care. Bye bye. Thank you. Khudafis.